Hello, my name is Apollo and welcome to Pantheon Talks. Today we are doing another first impressions video where I will give my initial thoughts on a Webtoon original series, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For this video, the series we will be talking about is My S-Class Hunters. Alright, let's dive in. Let me start this first impressions by saying this story needs for its readers to at least read the first 5 episodes. The first 3 episodes are exposition heavy, which is to be understood for this type of story, and episodes 4 and 5 reveal more heart combined with some very cool action. The story is classified as an action series, and with that said, this story has a lot of fantasy and gamer elements to be enjoyed. So let's start at the beginning with an overview of what's going on. In this world, these random portals appeared all around the world. Their appearance is kind of mysterious, and they basically did nothing for a while until one day there was this huge catastrophe that erupted throughout all of them. These portals turned out to be gateways into other dimensions, which this story refers to them as dungeons. And okay, hold on. Massive side note here, writers. Can we please stop referring to every otherworldly dimension as a dungeon? Like, I get it, but there are millions of other words out there. Like, seriously, call them, I don't know, kitty dens. Anything will do. Anyway, these portals or dungeons house monstrous creatures, and when the gates opened, they began terrorizing humanity. However, at the same time, humanity was gifted with awakened ones, aka hunters, given unique abilities to combat these ugly creatures. And it looks like the creator doesn't put a limit on the abilities that will appear, so the possibilities are limitless. And let me tell you, I love a limitless concept on superhuman abilities. Like, give me more than just ice, give me more than just fire, give me like death fire. Okay, so it leans heavily into those video game aspects, like the whole video game came to life trope, featuring things like crystals, reward systems, status windows, and even ranking the awakened ones into tier lists. Sounds familiar. So the first 3 episodes has a lot of information to cover in terms of helping the audience to understand the basic rules of this world while sprinkling in those little bits and pieces of hearts that we'll latch on to. Part of the fun of this type of story is the discovery, learning how the world works after shifting into this video game-like state. Often thinking to yourself, is this what I would do if I was in their position? Or literally I would just be out there grinding levels every day, like got that weaver skill, like let me make 1,000 clothes. You know, typical nerd stuff. So if that's your jam, then you'll love this type of storytelling. And now that we have the basic gist of the story, let's just dig a little deeper. What I found to be the most interesting element of the story so far is the theme of complicated family and acts of desperation. In society where actual power and talent is everything, how can someone who is basically talentless compete? We as humans are complex, and sometimes the most complicated relationships we have are within our own family. Now, our MC Yujin had a heavy burden placed on his shoulders for the most part of his life. Like, at a very, very young age, him and his brother were orphaned. So a young Yujin, he takes on the role before the dungeons erupted as the sole caregiver for his younger brother, and he even quit high school and started working as a laborer to support both of them. And eventually his goal was to help pay for his younger brother's college tuition. Like, okay, this is basically a cinnamon roll. Like, he is a saint. Or is he? I think caring for a sibling as a parent already makes the situation really hard. You have to balance a number of things, your own maturity and your adolescent problems, as well as your younger siblings' emotional and physical needs. And let me tell y'all, taking care of a child ain't cheap, which is already an impossible feat. So Yujin takes this in stride and is even doing his best to set up a better future for his brother. So the roles are basically established within their family dynamic. But what happens when the younger sibling suddenly, out of nowhere, no longer needs anything, like literally doesn't need a penny from your pocket. So without warning, they instantly become successful and can provide even better for themselves on a scale that you as the previous caregiver or provider couldn't even dream to provide for them. Well, a rift could naturally start to develop. Things like pride, jealousy, greed, anger, envy could all start to rear their ugly heads, putting a huge strain on what was once a loving relationship. Which, okay, side note here, I've never fully understood the pressures that is placed on an older sibling and why society places such high hopes on the firstborn. But I mean, this isn't a therapy session. However, if you have thoughts on this, leave me a comment below and maybe I'll understand. Anyway, Yoo-hoon, the younger sibling, receives his awakening, becoming an S-tier hunter, and this instantly skyrockets him to top levels of success, becoming rich and even opening his own guild, which is then labeled as the most powerful guild in their country. And it's these key elements that causes a major rift between the brothers. Or so we think. Family dynamics, even in their normal roles, are complicated, and I think this is what causes the elements of desperation to be evoked from our main character, Yoo-jin. Without any preparation, not only does his world turn upside down due to the portals, but his purpose in life is no longer needed. I feel this is where Yoo-jin starts to feel valueless. So combined with moments of horrible, and I mean, horrible communication. Like, is this a romance webtoon? Yoo-jin becomes desperate, making poor decision after poor decision. I don't know what to say for this man. And when he finally receives his awakening, he becomes an F tier, the lowest of the low. Possibly in the beginning, I think his intentions were likely pure and simple. Like, basically, he wanted to be in his brother's life, to be useful or helpful in some way. However, when his advances were dismissed or outright rejected, I think this warped his emotions to be tainted with that, twinge of envy. He wanted to be respected by his brother. Maybe he even wanted to be his brother. And that's where the story begins to reveal itself to be actually quite sad. His desperation led him to the point of no return where he makes decisions based purely on emotion. Like, okay, dude. That's all I have to say. And in episode 3, he finally finds himself in a situation where there is no hope. He's facing an impossible challenge which he has no way of defeating. The battle that he finds himself in is against Hotties, the Dragon King of Venom and Curses. Okay, listen, that's a cool title to have. Like, literally, I would love to have my title, the King of Venom and Curses. Ooh, just another side note here. Like, I love me a poison dragon, which is weird because, let me explain, if I was a warrior or something, my weapon of choice would be poison. Like, watch your drinks, kids. But my superpower would be healing. Okay, that's another video, but a little insight into Apollo's brain. This dragon literally ain't playing around though and destroys Yoo-jin's entire party without any effort. And this is where Yoo-jin's ability is revealed that I found to be actually very unique, but also what? The ability is called Custodian and it works in 2 phases. The primary skill uses a trigger phase on a target, then after this phrase is successful, the person under Yoo-jin's custody is granted a buff. Now the secondary skill is where things start to get a little juicy. It's called Final Thanks. Anyone under Yoo-jin's custody who dies grants Yoo-jin a buff. Their skill and stats are doubled and transferred to Yoo-jin for 1 hour. And the memories before their death are transferred to Yoo-jin with a slight delay. And I think if I had this power, I would literally hate it. Not only is it traumatic, but it's fleeting. Like 1 hour? What? Okay, like I can barely even brush my teeth in 1 hour, but... It's just such a stressful power in my opinion. Although if it was a power for a villain, like that would be pretty interesting. Do I smell a villain arc coming? Anyway, let's bring it back to episode 3, which leaves us on a huge cliffhanger. Basically, we're left thinking, how will Yujin survive against the Dragon King? Now, the series is a lot of fun, and it makes for a quick and easy read. The art style is clean and simple, but has a lot of amazing details. The story flows super well. However, we don't enter the main plot until episode 5, in my opinion, which, spoiler alert, it's giving me, gotcha vibes, but I do love a good gotcha game, like Genshin Take My Money. So my verdict, I wouldn't say it's a bad or good series, but it's a series that has a lot of potential. I think it sets a foundation to develop into something pretty good, but for me, I'm basing my opinion only on the first few episodes. Then I'd say I'd enjoy it, but I'd likely forget about it until I remembered it, if you get what I'm saying. So will I keep reading? Yes, but it probably won't be consistently. The story flows better when you have more to read and aren't starved for episodes. So if you're interested in this series, there is a link in the description. Please check out my S-Class Hunters on Webtoons and be sure to support the creators, Siri and Baiwan, on their Webtoon and on social media. Also, if you have read my S-Class Hunters, then tell us, what are your thoughts on this Webtoons? And if you have any Webtoons you'd like to hear our thoughts on, then please tell us which ones in the comments below. And let me just say this, it doesn't have to be on the Webtoon platform. It can be on Tapas, it can be on Comixology, it can be on your own website. I'm down to read anything. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave us a like, a comment, and most definitely ring the bell. We'd like to give a huge thank you and shout out to our patrons. If you would like to support us while getting some extra content we don't post on Instagram or YouTube, then head on over and check out our Patreon. All right, we'll catch you in the next video.